Welcome to this week in the world of wrestling.
Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John, that's my cohort in commentary, Ashton, and this is our Thursday night Smackdown review. And guys, I have to say, this was a really fun episode of Smackdown. I think this is one of the best episodes of Smackdown in recent weeks. In my mind, we got two really great matches that I thoroughly had a lot of fun with, and one really great in-ring segment that I'm actually really excited to talk about. Ashton, what do you think of tonight's episode of Smackdown?
Yeah, I think that of the matches that we saw, I think that if I'm guessing correctly, the matches that you're referring to that you thought were great were the one that was pretty long, the main event, and then a much shorter match that was just straight up amazing and entertaining.
Yeah, I just really great stuff. So, I mean, is there anything you want to say before we get right into this?
Well, I will just kind of come out and tell everyone what I told you right before we started recording. I'm not really a huge fan of the result of our main event tonight. That is Jericho getting a clean win over AJ Styles, but we always look for the silver lining, and the silver lining is this means that we're going to get a third Styles Jericho match, and I'm guessing it'll be a Fastlane, which means that you and I get to live react to it. And honestly, I kind of wish we would have live reacted to tonight's because it was really, really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, since we're already talking about silver linings, I might as well tell you my thought process about the whole thing. To me, there are two silver linings. One, it gets the first loss for AJ Styles out of the way early, so I don't have to worry about any of those stupid streaks or any of that stuff that I know you and I hate. And two, because now they've turned this into a legitimate series, you've incentivized, for having it again at Fastlane. You've created a legitimate reason to do it again at the pay-per-view that won't make me begrudgingly go, this match again. So, I really liked how it was booked. I didn't have any qualms with it. So with that said, let's get right into our first segment, Heat of the Night. And on the subject of things that did bother us, I did have one nitpick.
Okay.
I don't like, and see, we've talked about this stuff in the past, so it's nothing new. I understand that the whole Daniel Bryan retirement's a very emotional and very, serious and legitimate thing. I get that. If you want a very thorough discussion on the matter, you can find a video we did on it on the channel. I don't like, though, that they acknowledged on TV Stephanie's tweet thanking Daniel Bryan, especially because on that same program, you had the Dudleys cutting a heel promo, which we will get to later, insulting Daniel Bryan and saying they're sick of hearing it. So you're mixing, again, that kayfabe and that reality. Yeah. I don't mind them acknowledging reality, but either be consistent or, why would you acknowledge the woman that in a kayfabe sense spent the entire time denigrating Daniel Bryan, belittling the Yes Movement, and making his life a living hell? To me, you could have maintained the gravity of the situation on TV, replayed the segments, all that stuff, showed the tweets, and kept it to purely baby faces. You didn't have to show a heel like Stephanie, who's still going to be a heel on the road to WrestleMania, acknowledging Daniel Bryan and thanking him. So, I would call this the pickiest of nits. Maybe I'm making... Well, I was going to say, maybe I'm making something out of nothing.
I don't think you are. I think this is a very, very legitimate complaint, and I think that I've kind of gotten to the point where they do this stuff so often that I might even be a little bit desensitized to it, but you have all the reason in the world to complain because it's worth complaining about.
And that's exactly how I felt when you took umbrage with Brie Bella beating Charlotte. I'm desensitized to the Bellas dominating, but that's also a legitimate gripe. And I'm glad that one of us, whether, no matter how we're feeling about the situation, will bring it up and bring it back to the forefront, because to me, this sends mixed messages.
Yeah.
And to me, again, I don't want to dismiss or be dismissive of Bryan's situation. I've talked to a lot of my friends about it. You and I have talked about it. Again, we did a commentary on it, but business resumes the day after. We're still on the road to WrestleMania, and I'm still perceiving Stephanie in the kayfabe context as this really despicable businesswoman who abuses her power. So seeing her send out this tweet, it's like, you're muddying the waters, and that just really always kind of, ticks me off. So that's
it's funny, dude, because if you really think about it, this is kind of we've been talking about it all week. This is the ultimate example of the WWE failing to create a universe, because if they were as committed as Lucha Underground is to, their own universe. Stephanie and the Bella Twins, when they were heels, and then all of those other heel entities, would never be shown on their television show doing anything nice.
Exactly. And see, here's the thing, and it really clicked for me tonight, Ashton, seeing Stephanie's tweet. I don't understand why you still can't do the promotional stuff. And again, in the case of Bryan, treat it with the gravity and the seriousness that it clearly deserves, but without compromising the heels. I don't understand why you have to compromise the heels to achieve that effect when there are so many baby faces, that have good relationships with Daniel Bryan and this and that, and it would, bolster their image, kayfabe wise, because they were, friends and companions with Daniel Bryan. I don't get it. So,
and now that you bring that up, it's my turn to poke a massive hole in the WWE for hypocrisy, because they do all this charity work, and obviously they choose who they want to highlight charity-wise. But here's the thing, guys. When the WWE highlights the Bella Twins, they're consciously making the decision to show you charity work done by a heel. Now, let me ask, why can John Cena not turn heel and just continue all this charity work if they're going to just highlight it anyway?
That's an excellent point that I hadn't even bothered to consider. They're so, but then again, maybe merchandise is separate from charity work. I don't freaking know.
Well, the Bella Twins are another case where I think Bayley is technically the number one merch selling female in the company, but the Bella Twins, even when they were heels, were right at the top of those charts.
Right, so I guess, there's your solution. You can totally turn John Cena heel and have him sell the merchandise.
Honestly, I say John Cena because he's the more commonly brought up issue as far as this goes. But what I'm really thinking is, why can't Roman Reigns turn heel now?
Yes. Oh my God. Dude, everything about Roman Reigns screams heel, and they're not going to do it. And that's just so
And I've actually seen an interview where Roman himself said about how he doesn't want to turn heel because then he wouldn't get to do all of this charity work with the kids and stuff. And I think that the Bella Twins right now, and even Stephanie at this point, have proven that point of view completely wrong.
Well, see, but then this raises another question, though, because you said Roman himself said this. I wonder how the inner workings of the company perceive this issue, because I admire the fact that Roman likes doing the charity work and he wants to work with these kids, but maybe, I mean, I hate to go there because it seems so off base, but could it be remotely sexist? Feminine, that's obviously more caring and this and that, and we can't have heel men, doing that kind of charity work. Yeah. Is it an engendered thing?
Honestly, dude, I'm not even joking when I tell you that was going to be my next point, so I'm glad that you brought it up for me.
Okay, good.
I was even getting ready to say, okay, so I guess that only female heels are allowed to do charity work, right?
Right. And that's so disappointing to me.
It's so backwards and it's so hypocritical, and it's funny because I wasn't planning on coming into this commentary to rant, but alas, here we are.
Well, I think, I kind of started the process because, I saw Stephanie's tweet, and I'm like, I really shouldn't let it bother me, but we have the forum to do it, so I'm going to use it anyway. Yeah. And, I'm really glad we had this discussion because now, I know a lot of people have come down home, and I'm actually feeling sympathetic for him here because if he likes doing this work, I bet you deep down he even knows he'd probably be better as a heel, but he likes the humanitarian stuff that he can do as a babyface, and it's just a shame that he can't have
money. Babyface.
Yeah, and the money, which, nothing wrong with that. Everybody's got to sustain their own life, but, it's a shame that he can't have his cake and eat it too. That's really disappointing to me. So,
Vince, I only made $978 million $1,000 last year. I want to make $1 million.
Yeah, exactly. And all those other people whose paychecks you'd have to cut, it's irrelevant. So, any other nitpicks or heats of the night that you have?
Well, you kind of caught me. Well, we kind of caught me off. Both of us kind of caught me off guard because you kind of brought something up, and then I kind of took the ball and ran with it, and now I just kind of feel lost. But I think that my nitpick was kind of my point about not being a big fan of AJ losing this early. But you make good points, and we found the silver lining in that. So I think we can just move on, honestly.
All right, then let us get right into our Thursday night Smackdown review. And we open up with Smackdown is Jericho. Chris Jericho opens up the show. I liked his promo here. To me, he gave off a heelish vibe.
Well, I mean, anytime you hear Chris Jericho say best in the world at what I do, immediately heel comes to mind.
Yes, and I like also that, he acknowledges AJ, he's good. He acknowledges the accolades like he has, these past few weeks, but he says he hasn't earned the right to call himself phenomenal. Jericho has more than earned the right to call himself good, and he goes over his accolades. He even goes over a moment that he had, because I believe we were in Portland tonight for SmackDown when he had that.
I'm not even going to lie, this confused me. I didn't really have like a huge problem with it, but he's like, it's like he's in like this in-between tweener phase between being babyface and being a heel. So he's pulling out all of his heel psychology and his heel speaking patterns and his heel catchphrase, but he's still pandering to the crowd. Like, I don't get that.
I think I've seen this once before from Jericho, and I think it was when he had that heel turn in 2008 where he started calling us parasites and germ incubators, because it didn't start out that way. It was a gradual build with him still being save us babyface Jericho, but each week, like, either he'd lose a match or something would happen and he would get close to doing something heelish, like hitting somebody with a chair or just something like that. I think he's going to cross the threshold very soon. I think we're still in kind of that teetering kind of phase where he's on that one side of the fence, but it won't be long before he falls over the other side and just goes full-blown heel Jericho, which I can't wait for. But
yeah, I think my big question is, questions would be when is he going to turn, and what are he and AJ going to do at WrestleMania? Because I really hope that this feud doesn't drag out until then, unless it's put into a bigger match.
See, to me, and I almost have to wonder, because I'm just going to say right now, I normally like to save like all musings for the day before the pay-per-view when we do preview predictions. I see AJ winning the rubber match at Fastlane. I'm just going to come out and say it.
Yeah.
I see him winning the series. I think Jericho is going to turn heel then because he hates that he lost the series, and he's going to attack AJ. Now, you'd think, though, because a heel attacked a babyface would want some comeuppance, and therefore, again, you kind of give a reason, no matter how loose, for the program to continue. But I don't see these guys dancing at WrestleMania. Yeah. I don't. So,
like I said, unless it's a part of a bigger match, like a big ladder match or something like that.
Right, and you don't even know, though, like, how you would incentivize that. Like, would it be a number one contender match for a championship? Would it be this? Would it be that?
I mean, if we're getting Roman versus Triple H, that frees up the Intercontinental Champion.
That's true. That's very true. I don't know what they're going to do, but I definitely think the heel turn is going to be at Fastlane. After that is anybody's guess what happens. But returning to the present here, to tonight's SmackDown, I did enjoy the promo. I liked how Jericho built himself up and didn't completely bury Styles again. I mean, I learned how to cut a promo from Jericho's book, so he better abide by his own advice. AJ comes out. It seems like they're ready to go. Social Outcasts interrupt. And I even said I felt like they did a good job here because Heath Slater even got on my nerves with his voice and just saying, like, Ayatollah, rock around, like how he drew it out. And you could just see Jericho was getting annoyed. I was getting annoyed. Jericho cuts Slater off. He bops him in the head with a microphone, literally.
Will you please shut the hell up?
Yes, exactly. A skirmish breaks out between Social Outcasts. They're ganging up on Jericho. Styles decides to join in. And then
did you notice, though, I love that Styles just kind of stood there and watched the beatdown for a few seconds before, like, all right, I should probably save him.
No, that's realistic, though, right? Because it's like, I'm not friends with you. You started this. Like,
yeah, like, if you're going to be a dick to me, what obligation do I have to save your ass?
Yeah, I don't even think that makes AJ, and I know, like, that's not what you said, but anybody that may feel like that makes AJ heelish or whatever, I would disagree. I think that's a perfectly normal human response. If I saw somebody I hated getting mugged, I'd probably laugh. Like, I'd probably be like, well, I'm out.
But AJ has morals, and it was 3-on-1, so it was unfair, so he felt the urge to help.
Exactly. Completely opposite of my scumbag ass. So, yeah, then they Jericho announces that him and AJ, they're going to take care of their business later tonight, but for now, they're going to team up and take care of the Social Outcasts, who they had a little bit of a debacle over their name. Adam Rose thinks they're the Social House Cats, but Curtis Axel says they're Axl Rose. So it's AJ Styles and Jericho versus Axl Rose.
No, they made a decision that it's not going to be Axl Rose because Guns N' Roses are still touring. So it's actually AJ and Jericho versus the Social House Cats.
Okay, well, AJ and Jericho versus the Social Outcasts. I thought.
I'm honestly, dude, in my notes, I just wrote Curtis Axel and Adam Rose. I just don't care.
Well, there you go. I mean, normally I have a gripe with double booking and this and that, but I was actually okay with it because I felt like the tag match was perfect. Because it's the Social Outcasts. I think I would have had a bigger issue with this if the New Day interrupted and it was AJ and Jericho versus a team like the New Day because they're the tag team champions and they're more legitimate and you'd expect more gas to be taken out of both Jericho and AJ's tanks. But it's a Social Outcast. Nobody gives a shit. And I feel like they were
Sad
here.
as it is.
And I feel like they were here to take the beating from Jericho and Styles to play that game of one-upsmanship. This was to tell part of the story for the main event tonight. And, I just really like that. I like how they tried to top each other. I just love that. And then the ending comes again with AJ being kind of a dick because Jericho hits a code breaker, and I think he's about a lion salt, yes. And off the momentum because he's against the ropes, AJ steals the tag. He gets a flying forearm to Adam Rose, and he picks up the pin. So I thought this was good stuff.
And then after the match was over, Jericho hit a code breaker, but on AJ Styles.
Yes, sending a message, and I think he even sent him top that, AJ. So I really like that. Yeah, heel Jericho.
The competitiveness in Chris Jericho is taking over.
Yeah, I love it. Again, that heelish vibe, dude. That was a post-match attack, too. So, AJ didn't see it coming. Jericho just really wants to beat Styles. So, anything else you want to say about this, or can we move on?
How long have we been calling for Jericho to turn heel?
Forever now.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
It really does, man. It really does.
It's about time it's happening. But no, what's really cool, though, is actually what happens after this match.
Right, which was the code breaker.
Okay, Jericho. I meant, after this segment, I should have said.
Right, which was what exactly?
The Dudley Boyz.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to. Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. I freaking love this. I'm going to say right now, this is my segment of the night, and can I just say, I remember a TWitWoW episode a while back where I called for this team to turn heel, so I was so happy to see it, because I just think they'd be so much better as a heel, and they're going the direction that I really wanted them to. They're a jaded, legendary team, and I gotta say, I mean, the opening line of my notes, I said, this was awesome in all caps. I said, great mic work from Bubba Ray that reminds me that his character work as Bully Ray was one of TNA's high points. I forgot how good he could be on a microphone.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't call it one of TNA's high points, but I would definitely call it one of his high points.
Regardless, I mean, I just loved what he did here.
I mean, I can't help but feel like TNA hasn't had a high point since like 2005.
And that's fair enough. I love how, though, the imagery of all the tables around the ring, and Bubba's promo is pretty much all you guys ever chanted for was the tables. The tables. We're 9-time WWE Tag Team Champions. The tables didn't do that. We did that. You should have been chanting, let's go Bubba, let's go Devon. And you could just hear, like, the bitterness in Bubba's voice. And he says, get these tables out of here. Get them out of here. This is the last time you're ever going to see these tables. And it was great stuff. And then the ending where he's looking at Devon and he says, this is the last one because they have a table in the middle of the ring. This is the last one, the last table they're ever going to see. And he says, one last time, Devon! And then Devon's like, what? And he says, get the double mic drop. They take the table out. This was amazing.
And I love, too, that they properly folded the table up and took it out, because I was thinking that they were going to, like, collapse the table in on itself and take it out that way, but they made sure that it was all, like, nice and properly folded up, and they took it out that way. I thought that was awesome. This was really, really good work. And I think the best part is, like, they always say that the best heel mic work comes from when people really believe what they're saying.
Yes. And I gotta tell you, Ash, and I put in my notes here too, like, everybody knows, again, if you've been listening to TWitWoW, I feel like these guys are better serviced as heels, given that they are a more legendary tag team, they are the veterans, this and that. But what I put here, I want them to be heels for the remainder of their run. I don't want them to just work with the Usos, who, quite frankly, I don't even think need this rub. I want them to work with teams. I mean, the two teams that immediately came to my mind, Enzo and Cass, and American Alpha. I feel like those two teams working with a heel Dudley Boyz instantly legitimized.
Especially Enzo and Cass. Like, I love American Alpha to death, but if we're just talking about teams that fit as the Dudley Boyz opponents, Enzo and Cass hit the nail on the head.
Completely agree. I think you've instilled a far greater utility in the Dudley Boyz as a team by them being heel, because sooner or later these NXT tag teams are going to have to get called up. I mean, it's got to happen eventually, I would hope. And yeah, the Dudleys being there waiting for them as this heel legendary team, like, oh, you think you're something special, you're nothing, because until you beat us, you're nothing. And you got Enzo and Cass answering the call. Instantly a great program for the tag division that doesn't even have to involve the titles. You know, I think there is so much good that can be done here, but the other half of the equation really is WWE bulking up the tag team division with NXT teams, because I feel like when you do that, that's really when we're going to see the returns on the Dudley Boyz having this heel turn. But I freaking love this segment. It was my segment of the night, and I just think for what it promises potentially for the future, contingent on WWE's action, which I know is really putting a lot of faith in something, this could be something wonderful. So,
you know, it's funny. I know it seems really unlikely, but I would absolutely love it if the Dudley Boyz, obviously their first feud is going to probably be with the Usos, but when that's all said and done and the Dudley Boyz go on their heel run, first of all, I would not mind if they won the titles again as heels, because I feel like this is kind of like the iron is hot and you need to strike it. But what I really want to get to is maybe not necessarily over the next few months or anything, but at some point in the next year or so, I know it's not likely, but I want the Usos to turn heel too.
Yeah, I don't think it's likely either. I would love that idea, but I will say this. I completely co-signed your idea of the Dudleys achieving that 10th WWE Tag Team title reign as heels.
Yeah.
I think that'd be amazing. And here's the thing, too, and again, I know this is wildly fantasy booking considering where we are, but I would have a team like Enzo and Cass from NXT that is babyface come up and take it off of them. Because I just think that's perfect. Mm-hmm. You've got the legendary team getting dethroned by an NXT team that's coming up to the main roster. To me, it's just poetry in itself. So
you could do that story over the course of the next 2 months, because you could do like a triple threat or even a fatal 4-way tag title match involving the Usos, the Dudleys. Obviously, the champions are the New Day, and then maybe you could like toss in the Lucha Dragons Kalisto's defending it. So triple threat tag title match there. Have the Dudleys win it. Have the Dudleys defend it in some kind of crazy, maybe even like a ladder match, since they don't ever want to touch tables again, at WrestleMania. And then the night after WrestleMania, debut Enzo and Cass and have them win the titles.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, alternatively, if you don't want to give them the titles on their first night, just have them debut and cut a promo on the Dudley Boyz to set up a title match for Extreme Rules.
Yeah, and then maybe then you could do, because it's Extreme Rules, a tables match or whatever, or something like that. Bring the story full circle. They never wanted to touch tables again, but now they're going to have to.
They could do singles matches. They could do singles matches where, like, you could have Bubba beat Enzo and have Cass beat Devon or something like that. And then they could use that as a way for, like, okay, so Bubba won, so he gets to have a stipulation, and then Cass won, so he gets to have a stipulation. And Bubba's stipulation is, I don't even know what, something related to just, you know, kind of trying to hamper the other team. And then Cass's stipulation is, in order to win, you have to put your opponent through a table.
Right. So I love it, dude. I think a Dudley Boyz as heel going against Enzo and Cass program, especially if it would involve the tag titles, would be great for Enzo and Cass, because I think they're going to be the babyface team when they come up. That has not changed. Of all the reservations I may have about NXT call-ups, for some reason, I still have the utmost faith in Enzo and Cass to just really take it all the way. And knowing that a heel Dudley Boyz could be waiting for them just puts the biggest smile on my face. So this was gold. I've got nothing else to say about it. Do you?
I just think it's funny that we've been saying for the longest time now that as soon as Enzo and Cass get called up, it makes the Usos obsolete.
Yeah, because our big program didn't even involve they were really just placeholders for Mania and stuff like that. So yeah, It just shows you everything there. But anyway, moving on, our next matchup, we get Sasha Banks versus Naomi. This match was amazing. I even said I felt like this is certainly Naomi's best matchup since she turned heel, but I would even go as far as say this is one of Naomi's best matches ever, period.
I would agree with that. I don't even know what matches I could even say that come close to this. I would argue that this is her best match ever.
Yeah, I mean, I love the aggression. I love the intensity. I thought it got the perfect amount of time for me. I thought it was well paced. Some of the spots in this match were brutal. I mean, starting with Sasha Banks getting yanked off the apron and her back hitting it hard.
Oh, yeah.
And then they targeted the small of her back.
And that was another thing, too, was Becky Lynch was on commentary and Jerry Lawler was just going after her. It was actually pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second because I have something to say about that. I think you and I disagree because I heard like your reactions when you were watching it. I liked Naomi's kind of river dancing kicks. I said clearly she's a fan of Speedball Mike Bailey, so I thought that was awesome. Yeah, I mean the back and forth between these two was great. I said Sasha's offense and her selling is just second to none still. I mean, no wonder people say she's one of just the best wrestlers in general in the world right now. And, I mean, the finish with Naomi trying to get the roll-up and it being countered into the bank statement, I thought was great because it showed that Sasha gutted it out and she had the perseverance. But now, for what I didn't like, and this is where I know you and I are going to disagree, I really didn't care for Becky Lynch on commentary here. I liked her puns, when it was really being Becky. Those moments I think were definitely bright spots for her. I liked especially, I chuckled when she said, Sasha Banks likes to say that she's the Beyonce of Team Bad. Well, now she's getting beyond slayed.
That was amazing.
Yeah, but in general, I thought she sounded very uncomfortable on there. I don't know if she was just selling the fact that Jerry Lawler was really grilling her, and maybe that was it. But she sounded.
What I think it was, John. I think it was that she was uncomfortable because she didn't like Sasha Banks, but she knows she has to team with her anyway.
So you think this was just character work and not?
I do. I think it was really just a big. The whole idea is. Lawler is doing all this stuff to try and be like, oh yeah, you got to team with her. You guys are gonna be best friends. Why don't you cheer for her? Why don't you give her some encouragement? And what do you say in that situation?
That's true. I can give you that. But here's another thing I didn't like though. And I will say, I didn't even want to make too much of a big thing about it because this was a phenomenal matchup and I freaking loved it. There comes a point where Becky Lynch gets up from her seat and she tries to engage Tamina.
And Tamina whips the ass.
Yeah, Tamina knocks her on her ass, right? So then Sasha, who's already been getting brutalized in the ring, now has to divvy up her attention, but she takes care of it. And see, this is my point. She takes care of it, nails a vicious boot to Tamina that's already been jiffed, and the jiff is glorious, people, let me tell you. But my thing is, and I know, Ashton, I am kind of cheating a little bit because we always say, well, we like to look at shows in themselves, and we don't really like to call back. But I know, even with my internet issues, I know Tamina pinned Becky Lynch on Monday.
Yeah.
And now she gets knocked on her ass here. So my question is, and we've talked about this before, remember when Cena and Rock's whole program, why does Sasha Banks need Becky Lynch? Because she just took care of Tamina,
she
still beat Naomi.
For what it is worth, she temporarily got rid of Tamina because of the fact that they were on the outside and she kicked her over a chair.
Yeah, but she only did that, though, because she saw Tamina engaging Becky Lynch and Becky could handle it.
I would also argue that it helped that Tamina was distracted by Becky.
Maybe. I don't know, dude. I still think, to me, this came off to me like Sasha doesn't even need a partner. And
but you know what, though? We already know that Sasha does need some help because we saw Tamina and Naomi beating her down on Monday. And I know you missed that, but that was, wait.
No, I saw that. That was when I was still on the grid.
Yeah, that was last Monday. So you did see that. But yeah, so that, I think that goes pretty far to say that, Sasha might have handled herself tonight, but when it's straight up 2-on-1 rather than just her being take care of them individually, she will need help.
I guess you're right. I really didn't like how the whole Becky aspect of it. I even put in my notes, I thought Becky was the weakest aspect of this whole thing for me. But I still really enjoyed everything overall. So big thumbs up here.
Yeah, I would say that Sasha is clearly, of these four women, she's clearly at the top because she has already proven that she can beat all three of the other people involved in this.
Right.
And I would argue that either Naomi or Becky is at the bottom. I think that the WWE really just wants to keep Tamina strong and legit.
Right. Which I can understand because she looks like an imposing figure, so I guess they want the deeds to match the appearances.
Yeah.
So
I don't think Sasha kicking her onto that chair was necessarily Sasha beating her. It was just Sasha's way of temporarily disposing of her long enough for her to get back in the ring, save Becky from getting beat up, and win the match.
Which just shows how phenomenal Sasha Banks is, because she almost got caught again. You know, Naomi had the roll-up, and Sasha had the presence of mind to transition it into a bank statement.
Right.
Why?
Well, and even earlier than that, Naomi hit one of her finishers on Sasha. She hit that leg scissors DDT on her, and Sasha kicked out.
Yeah, because she's just better than the rest of you. So.
Which is, I think that's the perfect way to make her look, though, because they're protecting her. They are protecting her better than I think I've ever seen any female performer be protected in the WWE.
I still can't believe she's undefeated, dude. I'll just put that out right now.
I was legitimately worried that she was not going to be undefeated after tonight because I thought Naomi had her with that DDT.
Yeah, and, you know, I always was curious, like, what a match between these two would be like because of the whole We Want Sasha chance, and I thought Team Bad was going to turn on Sasha long before this. So I'm glad we finally got to find out, and I was pleasantly pleased with the results. So with that said, unless you have anything to add, we can move on.
Let's move on. Up next, we had an AJ Styles interview with JoJo. And, you know, AJ is just talking about how Jericho called him, or not Jericho, Miz called him a rookie redneck or a redneck rookie or whatever, and he said that, yeah, he is a redneck and he's proud of it, but he is the farthest thing from a rookie, and tonight he's going to show the world and Chris Jericho why they call him the Phenomenal One.
Yeah, again, another short, succinct kind of promo from AJ. He got straight to the point. I liked it. That's how he should speak. I've got nothing else to add. We can move on. So...
Family.
Yeah, the Wyatt family. I'm going to say right out of the gate, because first of all, I like the video package that preceded this with Evil Ways. I did like that.
I like the video package and I like the idea, but first of all, WWE's really late to the party on that song. I mean, it was AJ Styles' theme song in TNA for a period of time, and Lucha Underground used it last year for Conan's Revenge is Coming vignette, so way to arrive late, WWE. But also, I'm really not a fan of the fact that they chopped it up the way they did. Like, they took a lot of it out. Like, I think that's why I liked it when Lucha Underground used it, because you got to hear, like, all of the dramatic pauses and what makes the song awesome. Whereas with WWE, they, like, cut all of the sort of, I don't want to call it empty space, but all of the parts where it's just music without any kind of, like, hardcore percussion or anything like that out of it to try and make it more, I guess you could say, interesting. Like, I feel like they took something good and they still managed to water it down and turn it into a WWE thing, and I'm just not a fan of it.
Right. I personally liked it. I can understand, though, why you'd be more critical of it, given the past exposures with that song that are wrestling related. My thing is, and I'm just going to be honest with everybody, I love Bray Wyatt, and I love the Wyatt family. I just could not find myself giving a crap about this promo.
Really? I liked it.
See, here's the thing. I thought everything they said was great. Bray is king at making imagery. I mean, titans and gods and the Apollo. I love it, right? But it would have so much more weight to me if I could believe in the idea that the Wyatts are going to dominate Mania this year. And I'm going to
tell you right now, dude, there is the latest report from Meltzer, Braun Strowman is getting pushed to the moon this summer.
Well, and that's great.
There's a rumored SummerSlam match. They're going to do Strowman Reigns for the title.
And see, if that happens, wonderful, because I've heard Braun Strowman, what I've heard is that he's actually keeping a lot from us. And then just because he's big doesn't mean that all he can do is just take right hands and do that choke. He can actually do a lot more. Yeah. My thing is, and that's great, but you know what, Ashton? This is tonight, and the summer is still a few months away, so we have to see if those rumors pan out, first of all.
Of course.
So... You know, I want to believe it, and I know you want to believe it, but dealing in the here and now, I want to believe the Wyatt family will dominate WrestleMania. And for the record, I think Braun Strowman's winning the armbar. He is my number one candidate out of the gate.
Yeah, dude.
I think he's going to win.
I mean, we've been saying that for how long now? Or at least I have. I think you signed on to it, though.
Yeah, exactly. But there's no way Bray Wyatt's going to beat Brock Lesnar.
No.
There's just no way that's going to... So why am I going to get... I even put
Unless he cheats, which is definitely a possibility.
Well, look, I'm going to quote the last few lines of my notes because I think that would articulate it better than anything I could try and come up with off the top of my head. I said, Bray Wyatt beating Brock Lesnar, there's a better chance of me not being a douche towards Sami Zayn getting powerbombed by Kevin Owens than there is of that happening. The new gods taking the place of the old gods sounds incredible, but you actually have to do that for me to long for what's beyond the gates of Olympus. I'm not going to care what's beyond those gates if you don't freaking get the job done. Those old gods are going to stay in place, and we all already know that. I mean, Bray can sell people a dream like nobody else, but it's almost like that used car salesman that says all the right things, but you know you're getting hoodwinked. And I can't buy into the family right now.
See, I think that what I liked about this, though, was that all four of them got to talk a little bit.
Yes, I will agree with you there. That was nice. I like that they share mic time. Yeah. Because to me, even though I know that's not the case, it does give off a more egalitarian feel within the family. Yes, Bray is going to talk the most, so you know he's the leader, but I like how even Braun, who when you look at him, I bet you first appearances most people would think, well, that guy's not going to talk at all. He's just the quiet enforcer kind of guy. And even he says a little something.
And he's got, I mean, we've said it a lot before, but his voice is, and it's not even really his voice, because I've heard the guy talk, and he's actually, like, changing his voice for the Braun Strowman character, but it's amazing.
Yeah, it's like this menacing growl almost to me. And I really dig that.
It reminds me of that video, Bray and Braun singing Sasha's theme song, Spotlight!
Yeah. I mean, what I want to make perfectly clear to everybody, I love this faction. I love Braun Strowman. I love Bray Wyatt. I even love Luke Harper and hope that he would get a push again somewhere down the line, because I think he's actually underappreciated, me personally. Yeah. I love the promos, everything. Like, I'm in love with everything. There are a lot of
people that kind of, now that Cesaro's hurt, there are a lot of people that see Luke Harper as the best in-ring worker in the WWE right now.
I don't think that's hyperbole at all. I think he's a candidate. I don't know if I would declare him outright, but I certainly...
No, I mean, I think that really does, though. Like, he's definitely in the crop of people that it would come down to if you were to narrow it down.
Exactly.
It's like him, Owens, Zayn.
Yeah.
I'm already... Balor, maybe? I'm out of people already, though.
Yeah. And, you know, I love everything about what these guys offer and what they promise. I just wish... And see, it's not even them. My problem, again, is with WWE, because they sell me this and then fuck you, WWE, for making me believe it. Yeah. Because if Bray... I am telling you right now, if Bray Wyatt were to beat Brock Lesnar in WrestleMania, just entertaining it for a moment, because we've entertained so many things in the past, why not this? I would lose my goddamn shit. It would probably be the reaction for TWitWoW 2016.
I don't know about that. I mean, I believe that you would be excited if he would win, but just knowing the WWE, the way that Bray would have to go about winning the match, I think would be more disappointing than anything.
Because he'd probably have to heavily rely on the family, and I guarantee you Strowman would probably be a difference maker or something.
Exactly. Well, and another thing, too, if you didn't really... if the coffin wasn't nailed hard enough already, here's the final nail... Brock Lesnar took on all three members of the Wyatt family other than Bray in the Royal Rumble and won, including Braun.
Exactly. You know, so that's why I'm saying, if you're going to talk about slaying gods, you better be talking about Brock Lesnar, because world champion or not, to me, this is still his yard. And I think it will be until he actually formally leaves, because that's just the aura that Brock Lesnar exudes.
You know what I would really like to see, John?
What's that?
Because we are running out of talent so fast because of all these injuries and now obviously retirements.
Right.
I would love for the WWE to be like, okay, we were planning on doing Bray versus Brock. These guys are also both the top candidates to face The Undertaker. We don't have anyone for The Undertaker. Let's make it a triple threat. And you have Taker do what it takes to beat Brock. Maybe he hits like a third tombstone on him, and then Bray throws Taker out and gets the pin on Brock.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's the way, and I hate that that's how Bray is on the main roster, but really main roster Bray Wyatt is a guy that I guess could take care of his business if he had to, but more often than not, he's going to have somebody do the heavy lifting, and he's going to pick up the scraps.
Which is so sad, because our most memorable match that he's ever had was against Daniel Bryan, and he won that clean.
Yeah, I actually need to go back and watch that match, dude, because it's been so long. I need to remember what a dominant Bray Wyatt looks like. But here's the thing that's interesting about Strowman's alleged push, which I hope it comes, by the way. That sounds really intriguing, and I think I could sink my teeth into that. Yeah. I'm wondering if that's going to cause... What I would love to see is a scene where maybe, I mean, let's just put Brock Lesnar in there. I'm not saying it's going to be Lesnar, but he just seems like the best placeholder. We're already talking about him so much. Where, like, Bray and Braun are really beating him down, and maybe Bray wants, like, the final blow after Braun's done all the work, and maybe it registers for Braun. Maybe the monster becomes sentient, and he realizes, well, hey, I'm the one that really roughed him up. You didn't do crap. And there's discord between those two. I can't see Bray controlling this monster, especially if he's getting a push. I think that may be a story down the road. I think Braun's going to become so powerful, Bray won't even be able to control him, which I think is an interesting narrative possibility. But we'll have to see. I think Braun is definitely one of the most interesting characters, not just in this family, but on the roster going into 2016, because how are you going to handle him and his push? So I'm definitely intrigued.
Yeah, I think intriguing is the best word for it. So let's go ahead and move on then. Our third match of the night, the Cosmic Wasteland. For those of you that haven't been paying attention to Main Event and Smackdown for the last few months, that's Cody Stardust and the Ascension taking on Neville and the Lucha Dragons.
I'm going to be honest, Ashton, I really have nothing to say about this match. I mean, my notes literally say that this is a brief match that was all about building to the triple finisher finish on the side of the babyfaces. So, yeah, I mean, I thought that was spectacular, though, and it looked really good. A great
This
sequence.
was my second favorite match of the night, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I liked this match better than Sasha Naomi just because that match had so much interference in it.
Right.
Because, this match, what I think I loved so much about this match was Kalisto looks like a freaking rock star right now.
Yes, I think I even put here, it was so smart for them to book this the way that they did, because Kalisto was the only one of all 6 people in this matchup with a championship and an actual storyline. So him getting that kind of momentum and being booked this way was a priority, and I'm glad WWE recognized that. I definitely think that was a smart point of this match.
That's the thing too, is he was the last person to get tagged in prior to the finish of the match, and he dominated everyone. He made the Cosmic Wasteland look like a cosmic waste of time.
Yeah. I mean, he readily handled everybody. And then again, that triple finisher finish, I think was gorgeous and, a great way to pop the crowd on the side of the baby faces.
And of course, Neville, that red arrow to close things out, just amazing.
God, I want that man to get pushed. I love.
I feel like, didn't he literally just was getting a push leading up to the Rumble?
Maybe a little mini one, but nothing really too special.
Hey guys, he was your Rookie of the Year 2015. So
right.
Let's have him beat Kevin Owens twice on Raw.
Yeah. I mean, I love Dean. I still don't even know why that man's Intercontinental Champion, because I'd be loving a feud between Kevin Owens and Neville right now over that belt. But alas, we didn't get it.
Or, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, Sammy's too busy, though, being a bitch bag wanting his second NXT title reign. But regardless,
I don't think, and we've even said this before, but I don't think anyone has ever been called up twice only to not actually get called up.
I know, right? That's the story of Sami Zayn, though, for you. Always so close, but it can never actually quite seize the opportunity.
They might as well just give him a middle name, and it would be Blue Balls.
Yeah.
Sami Blue Balls Zayn.
Knowing Vince, though, he's like, oh my god, that gimmick's genius, and he'd run all the way with it. Yeah. So, anything else you want to say about this 6-man?
Nope, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Let's go, and we can skip over the Bryan video package. If you want to know our thoughts on Daniel Bryan and his retirement and its implications to the business and everything, go check out our video. It's literally just titled Daniel Bryan Retirement Discussion. It's only 20-something minutes, so it's not nearly as long as most of our reviews. And let's talk about the main event, John.
Well, I mean, you already said at the outset of tonight's TWitWoW, Jericho does get the win, so now they're one apiece. I already said that I thought this was the right call because, one, it gets Styles' first loss out of the way, and now you've incentivized, Fastlane. You've created a reason for there to be a rematch at Fastlane. As far as the match itself, though, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good back and forth. I particularly like the Walls of Jericho calf crusher exchange towards the end. Jericho, feigning, almost tapping out, almost about to tap out, only to reach the ropes. I thought it was a great hope spot.
Did that get you? Because that got me.
It got me, yeah. I thought AJ was going to beat Jericho 2 straight times. And commentary was just great for this match as well, like we thought it would be.
Especially Lawler. Lawler has been so good.
You want to talk about a 180. This man should have never been babyface. His great stuff has always been being heel. And I like how, See, because I feel like if JBL was to attack, like, the really petty stuff, because, like, Lawler really attacks Styles' hair and getting in his eyes. I feel like if JBL did that, it would really get on my nerves. But the way Lawler does it, I'm like, yeah, he's in a groove, he's enjoying himself, and I just like the dynamic. And I think the idea that he has so many, like,
Lawler sounds like he is just enjoying himself and making fun of people because he's having fun doing it. JBL always sounds so miserable.
Right. Yeah, to him, to JBL, it would be like, oh, get the hair out of your eyes. And with Lawler, it's like, oh, get the hair out of your eyes. And, like, you know, that energized kind of like, you know, what are you doing? Him rooting for Jericho, too, to get the win or to kick out or get to the ropes was great. I mean, Jerry really is textbook how to be
Don't tap out, get to the ropes! Yeah, that was so good. That sounded like one of us cheering for Adam Cole.
Exactly.
Unless it was against Kyle O'Reilly, in which case it would have only sounded like you cheering for Adam Cole.
Yeah, otherwise known as me making the right call. Regardless, I really love, too, Ranallo was great in his role. I think he's a great play-by-play guy. And what did I even say about, what I said about Byron, because this is a line in my notes, what Byron is really perfect at, he's perfect at contributing, but he knows to stay in the background. Yeah. Because I think he knows the chemistry is really between Ranallo and Lawler. But, I mean, Byron will pipe up, you know, in support of Ranallo, or he'll even say, like, he'll agree with King. Like, if Lawler talks about a strategy or this and that, he'll be like, oh, I agree, King. So Byron isn't even totally babyface. He just goes with whoever he feels like sounds right to him.
This is going to sound like I'm giving him way more credit than I probably should, but to me, Byron Saxton is the voice of the people.
Yeah.
He says what the audience would say if they were on commentary.
I don't think that's an overestimation, actually, because I feel like Byron is almost trying to, like, empathize with how we would be if we were sitting between Ranallo and Lawler.
He's the voice of reason, because, like, Ranallo, you know, he's amazing, and he's got this great money, like, big match kind of voice, and he always kind of roots for the baby faces. Lawler has been super on point, rooting for the heels and just kind of making fun of the baby faces. But Saxton is that lawful neutral where he will call it the way that a neutral observer would say, or would see, rather.
Exactly. I've been loving Ranallo on Smackdown. I think he's one of the consistently great things about the show, even when the episode as a whole may be a bit more underwhelming. I mean, what a coup for WWE to get an announcer like that. Yeah. And I can't wait for him to start.
It doesn't even seem like it was that far out of their reach. They just had to decide that a professional commentator was worth bringing in and worth paying.
Exactly. I think he's proven his worth in the money they're paying him.
Yeah,
you know,
I really, really want him and Lawler, and even if you do want to put Cole out there, but him and Lawler need to be on pay-per-views.
Yes, that's what I'm waiting for. This is a pay-per-view team. Hell, even if you want to do, back in the days of the brand split, maybe you have one announced team take on the first half of the card and then another announced team take on the second half.
I would be fine with that, but let Ranallo call the main event.
Yeah. And you know, I don't think that'll happen only because Michael Cole and seniority and all that stuff, and they really do think like he's
the voice of the WWE.
You know, the voice of the WWE. But just getting Ranallo to call any matches, even like, especially like undercard title matches like IC, US, just something. Like, he needs to be on pay-per-views. He is gold. Lawler is gold. I love those two. And Byron, you're doing just fine. So, with that in mind, let's move on to our next segment. High spots and low shots. My low shot is Becky Lynch. I thought she got punked out tonight. It's been a rough time for the last kicker, and I still stand by, you know, for me, it really comes off as she's more of a hindrance than a partner to the boss. So just a rough night for Becky Lynch. She's my low shot.
The one thing I will say that I really like about her on commentary, though, she kept on saying this isn't a friendship, it's an alliance. And that's exactly what Team Bad was. Or, I'm sorry, Team Bay was as well.
Yeah. I do like that Becky Lynch, you know, she let everybody know we're not friends, this is a partnership. She did great further in the story. You know, I just still think she didn't compete. She got knocked on her ass. I mean, you follow that, you know, that was preceded by the loss on Monday. It's just been a rough week for Becky Lynch. And yeah, for me, she's just my low shot.
All right, my low shot's AJ Styles, man. I mean, you know, say what you will about the fact that he's going to have another match to make up for it and that this is going to get him on a pay-per-view and all that stuff. That's all good. But at the end of the day, he ate his first loss tonight.
Yes. I completely agree. And it wasn't even like a big time loss at a pay-per-view or whatever. It was on an episode of Smackdown, too. When you figure that it's AJ freaking Styles.
And I think that another silver lining out of that is that so many fewer people watch SmackDown than watch Raw and pay-per-views.
Yeah, that's
true. So it's
true.
almost like they're almost hiding his first loss pretty well.
Exactly.
Although I'm sure Jericho will bring it up on Monday, so that's a moot point.
Oh, yeah, Jericho will be boasting about that to the heavens. Yeah. My high spot is Bubba Ray. I thought he had a great freaking promo tonight.
He did.
And I even put here, I am instantly invested in the Dudleys again now that they're heel. I think this opens up a whole new array of possibilities. But again, it is heavily contingent on WWE having the foresight to say, okay, we've got a heel team that has these legendary credentials. Let's bring up these NXT teams so that the Dudleys can serve as legitimizers. Again, in particular, Enzo and Cass. And yes, I would personally like to see American Alpha versus the Dudleys. So those are the two teams I really had in mind. But Bubba killed it tonight, channeling his inner Bully Ray, and it was magnificent to see. I think he's in the right place at the right time. So he's my high spot.
Awesome. My high spot, Kalisto. He was an absolute spark plug for his team tonight. Not only did he take on the Cosmic Wasteland basically 3-on-1 and win, but he was the reason that his team won the match because he set up Sin Cara for the senton, which then in turn set up Neville for the Red Arrow for the win.
Yes, excellent. I mean, Kalisto put everything in motion. He was the catalyst for that momentum shift. I completely agree. With that said, we've got one segment left. 30-second hot seat. So what do you got for me this week?
Well, John, we already know no more Daniel Bryan. There were a lot of rumors going around that if Daniel Bryan was going to come back, that he was going to be the Undertaker's opponent for WrestleMania. And obviously that's not happening. So now my 30-second hot seat for you is, what do you do with the Undertaker at WrestleMania? You have 30 seconds and your time starts now.
You know what? I know that apparently reports are going around that he put in a request for it and got denied. I still say Kevin Owens. To me,
assuming that's not going to happen because of the denial.
Okay, assuming that's not going to happen. I don't think Braun Strowman's ready for it yet, and I think the armbar is better for him. John Cena's injured, so that can't work. My God, there's a dearth of talent right now.
10 seconds.
You know what? No, Dean Ambrose isn't going to work. Maybe you do Jericho as a heel.
Ooh.
Maybe that's what he does. Yeah,
there you go. I like that. 30 seconds are up. I dig it, though.
Yeah, because I can only remember one interaction between heel Jericho and face Undertaker. I think that was at the 11 Elimination Chamber. Maybe it was like
that was when Jericho was a member of his team with Big Show, right? I forget what they were called.
No, that would be Jericho, first of all.
Jericho,
I think, the team was done like that. No, that was when Edge and Jericho were a team, but then Edge got injured and Jericho went on his singles run after Jericho ended, and he recaptured the world title, I think, I want to say that was his last run, his 6th world title reign, I think. So
Jericho won the title in that match, though, didn't he?
Yeah, because Michaels came up from the chamber floor, super kick Taker, which
that was 2010 then, wasn't it?
Was it 20? Because I was gonna say 2010, but maybe I confused that with another SmackDown chamber match.
Because I'm pretty sure that the WrestleMania 2011 was Triple H versus Taker.
Right. You know what? I think you're right that it was 2010, and I was thinking of another SmackDown chamber match that had Jericho in it. But regardless, that's the only interaction I remember between Jericho and Taker. I think a one-on-one match between those guys. And again, another thing too, I take stock of Taker's age and his health. Yeah. I would trust a guy like Jericho in the ring with a guy like Taker. I think they're both kind of ring generals. They would know how to make a matchup where Taker wouldn't really have to compromise too much.
Honestly, dude, if the Authority really decided that they hate Dean Ambrose's guts and they wanted to get the Intercontinental title off of him, I do think he would be the perfect opponent for The Undertaker because he is one of the very few guys that are young and know how to work that Memphis style where you look like you're beating the crap out of someone, but you're really not laying a finger on him.
Yeah, and see, it's funny because Dean Ambrose was on the tip of my tongue, dude, but I thought you were going to shoot that idea down to hell. So it's funny that you bring it up because I didn't think you were going to be in favor of that at all, especially because
you know what? I might have if you just would have been like Dean Ambrose because whatever, but I think the fact that he's such a light worker when he can be, I think that that's the perfect reason to put him against Taker because at this point, Taker really does need to get that test that Bryan had done on himself, because, like, you know, the last thing we need to see is The Undertaker 55 years old dead because of whatever. You know, like,
Right.
we really, nobody wants to see that. He needs to, I know that he is an incredibly competitive person and he doesn't want to retire on anyone's terms but his own, but he really does need to reconsider continuing to wrestle, because I've actually heard a lot of people, including Meltzer, say, well, who says this is going to be his last WrestleMania? Like, it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah, so it just needs to be an ideal opponent for a send-off. I'm actually a bit ticked off that Kevin Owens did get denied, because Jesus Christ, WWE, when are you going to push him as that, like, big heel?
They're not. They're never going to. It's not going to happen. You know what? I take that back. They're only going to if Vince hands the key to the kingdom over to Triple H before Kevin Owens retires.
Well, that's certainly not happening. I might as well just give up hope right there.
Exactly.
But
exactly. That's why I wanted to add that qualifier, though, because that's the only condition we'll ever see Kevin Owens pushed as a serious main event threat.
But hey, I've been wrong before. I hope Kevin Owens can prove me wrong again. I'm still pulling for the summer of Owens this year. Looks like it's going to be the summer of Strowman, though, with everything we've been hearing. Yep. But regardless, that is the 30-second hot seat. Just to clarify again, it was what Undertaker would do at WrestleMania. So you guys already know what you're going to talk about down in the comment section. It's always the 30-second hot seat for SmackDown reviews. With that said, though, Ashton, is there anything else you want to say about tonight's SmackDown?
Shut her down!
All right, guys, this has been Smackdown. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment and subscribe on YouTube. Again, you know the question. What is Undertaker gonna do at WrestleMania 32 in Dallas? It's gonna be big. It's gonna be huge. I want to know what's going on in your minds. Be sure to take the conversation over to Pweetoff. That is Pro Wrestling is taking over Facebook. A lot of big-time Undertaker fans, you know, a lot of interesting musings about WrestleMania 32. Be sure to like the TWitWoW Facebook page. I know I haven't been plugging that as often as I should, but I'm going to start doing that more regularly. Please go, give it a like, give it your comments, interact there. Also, interact on the TWitWoW subreddit that Ashton created. There you will find all of our TWitWoW content, and you're endowed with the power of creating threads of your own on all things pro wrestling directed to Ashton or myself.
And if that's not enough, now you can follow both of us on Twitter.
Yes, now you can follow both of us. I was just getting ready to plug. My Twitter is @John_TwitWoW. That's where you can find me. And Ashton, what's your
John
Twitter?
has an H in it. Now, I know a lot of people spell it just Jon, but for Twitter and his actual name has an H in it.
There you go. So just remember the H there. It's John, JOHN_TwitWoW. Ashton, what's your handle?
My handle is @apond404. That's pond as in like the body of water. That's APOND404.
There you go. So be sure to follow both of us on Twitter. And I think that's all the social media plugs I had to do. So we will see you guys again for our Monday Night Raw review. It is the go-home show, the final push before Fastlane next Sunday. And the question is, who will gain momentum in the triple threat match between Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar? Who will make that final push to show that they're going to be in the main event?
And speaking of Brock Lesnar, he's going to be on SmackDown next week, too.
That's right. That was a closing announcement. Brock Lesnar will be on SmackDown next week. That's going to be very interesting. I'm actually surprised how heavily they've been featuring Brock. I thought Heyman would be doing a lot of heavy lifting for this program, but who's going to get that push, guys? Who's going to get that momentum to really stake their claim of the main event of WrestleMania 32? Hoping Dean Ambrose gets some shine. You know where to get the best coverage, right here at TWitWoW. Until then, tune in and peace out.